Hi everyone, my name is Panos. I'm a co-founder of NetBeez, and today I'm going to talk about how NetBeez empowers help desk, right? And how to help them to support work from home users. So these are statistics from a survey we did within our customers. And of course, after the pandemic hit, everybody was rushing to bring everybody online from, to work from home, right? But soon after, I would say a few months, we started hearing a different set of problems than what we were addressing before. Before, of course, we're focused mostly on WAN and wireless LAN monitoring for on-campus networks, enterprise networks. And of course, when everybody went to home, there was no kind of big need for that, right, anymore. And our customers started asking about how can we transfer what NetBeez was doing very well for on-campus networks to their employees working from home. And that came, of course, after a couple of, I would say, like a few weeks maybe, that everybody was trying to adjust to the new reality. And we found out that 78 of our customers were really struggling with supporting employees working from home. And these were the four most common, I would say, expected things they were dealing with and had problems trying to address and troubleshoot. Like, for example, ISP and internet issues, right? They had no visibility of what was going on between their employees' home over whatever ISP they were using, and getting either on their VPN or the data center or even going to the internet. VPN, VDI issues, they were using, of course, consumer-grade routers at home that no IT has control or visibility on, so they don't know what's going on there, if the issue is a wireless issue or a backbone issue. And of course, when it comes to Wi-Fi, it's one of the biggest struggles there around Wi-Fi coverage, signal strength, interference, right? Imagine being in a dense environment in a big city, in an apartment, and you have all these neighboring networks broadcasting on the same channel with you, right? How do you know if that's a problem your employee is facing when the employee doesn't really have any technical knowledge? And we realized that actually, initially counterintuitively a little bit, that most of before our main kind of audience was very skilled end user, I would say, was on campus, so they would have immediate support from their on-prem IT folks, right? When they went to work from home, these employees had zero technical support at their home, and we realized employees like so in other words, engineers and technical people were okay dealing with their issues themselves because they knew already what to do, but other folks like working in support or in sales or in customer service were really difficult to deal with in terms of like offering support and communicating with them. So the result, of course, was the SelfHelp and help desk to be flooded with incoming now new types of requests from employees. And they had no scenarios, no playbook to work on to help these people because it was everything new to them. And of course, many of these issues were trying to be resolved ad hoc with no visibility, trying to pick up the phone, talk to users. And that's where we came in to transfer what we were doing before regarding monitoring user experience from on campus to working from home employees. And that's when we developed, actually almost a year ago, we released for the first time in August 2020, our first version of the work from home monitoring agent. So in that case, the help desk now has some visibility of what's going on the user's device and network. And they were more able to troubleshoot issues more intelligently and bubble them up to level 2 and level 3 support by having more information to pass on, right? Compared to before being completely blind of what had happened previously, or even like at the time the issue was going on. So we released that a year ago, supporting Mac and Windows devices. So the installation is pretty straightforward. You download an installer, you click next on Windows and Mac. or it can be distributed, of course, with any kind of mass management tool like Intune, that you can, like put it on your managed system and then distribute the agent on all your employees' devices. And from there, you have visibility now of what's going on in the wireless network, in the ISP, with actually what Stefano just demonstrated with the path analysis we released in NetBeez 8.0, app visibility. That was traditional monitoring that NetBeez had already with HTTP testing, with monitoring service like DNS. And finally, with NetBeez 9.0, we're releasing PC performance metrics, which help also put close another gap in this monitoring space, where you want to understand if an issue that the customer, that the employee is facing is coming from their device because they suddenly antivirus kicked in, or they start some heavy application, or it's the wireless, or the ISP that is causing the problem. So you have a set of kind of potential, when you troubleshoot something, set of potential, I would say, failing points, right? Can be the device itself, the PC, because its CPU or RAM utilization has spiked and has consumed all resources, right? So now video or audio might be choppy or might not work properly. Of course, the wireless is always a big pain point because of the lack of visibility, and that's what actually we added as a monitoring capability with NetBeez 7.0 at the beginning of the year. And ISP and internet monitoring is addressed with path analysis and also tests like network speed or iPerf, where you can measure upload and download speeds and things like packet loss, jitter, etc. And finally, with application and DNS services, for example, right, you can get response time, DNS query time that help you understand if an application is causing a user degradation issue or not. So with that, I'm gonna show you now a demo of what the PC performance feature we're releasing with NetBeez 9.0 looks like. For the purpose of this demo, I'm just gonna show you that how the data looks like on a remote worker agent that's running right now on my PC. And actually, I'm gonna pass that to Stefano now, because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna open a heavy application on my PC to demonstrate that my video is gonna degrade, right? So with that, let me try to do that. So Stefano, we're gonna show you now the agent running on my PC. Okay, that's me. That's pretty old, I would say. PC, it's 5 years old, 8 gigabytes of memory, 2 cores, I think, and everything went fine during this presentation. But now I start this application that's consuming lots of memory and CPU. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to start by showing you this joke I just wrote. So it has some text on it, and probably you can read it right now, okay? But while the application kicks in and starts consuming more and more memory, you'll see the text becoming blurry and fuzzy, and probably you won't be able to read it. Stefan, just give me the heads up when you really see the effect. Hopefully it's going to happen.
Let someone from the delegates confirm that, because I'm sharing the screen, I cannot see it.
So
how is it now?
Is it still clear? Has it? So
yeah, your CPU is going up 100%. Network is stable, so clearly it's not a network issue. I'm told that it's pretty fuzzy now.
Yeah. So of course, to the extreme, this can result in, if you're sharing a screen, right? That's just a flavor of what that would look like, right? If you're sharing a screen and suddenly your application that you didn't planning to launch, like an antivirus, kicks in, that's going to degrade the performance. your audience won't be able to see it. And in an extreme case, of course, the audio is going to become choppy and the video may completely drop, right? And as you can see, I stopped the application now. CPU went down, RAM went down, and things look like they're back to normal, right? So again, that's another feature we're releasing with NetBeez 9.0 that's going to help folks out there trying to understand what is causing this user experience degradation, right? Because again, user opens a complaint, they open a ticket, my Zoom wasn't working, and then how can you verify when the complaint happened or the issue was going on, how things were, right? With the historical also of this kind of data, you can go back in time and see, hey, I saw that yesterday at 2 p.m. when you were having that issue, your CPU and memory were spiking, right? And that probably was causing your issue while your network performance was stable without any glitch. And with that, I'm done with what I had to present today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Yeah, I've got a question around the Wi-Fi analysis of the endpoint agent. So you can see in the agent the signal strength from for a client to an access point, and this isn't as much around the home office, but more in an enterprise. If there are multiple APs, is there a way to see in the agent that maybe the client has a better signal strength from another AP, but it's not moving to kind of signify a roaming issue, and maybe that's more on the client, not the infrastructure?
Right, so you can do something like Stefan is doing right now, where you can see what's going on around your access point. I mean, it can be both, I would say, for home environment and enterprise. I guess enterprise is more prevalent kind of problems, but even at home, when we have now mesh networks or we have like signal repeaters, right? That can be an issue, right? And yeah, with the SID scan we have here, you can see what available SIDs are there in the same network and understand why your device connected not to the best one, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I had one question. I know you had mentioned earlier in the presentation about Intune integrations. Could you maybe give a little insight into that, please? Just because we actually just started using Intune about 2 or 3 months ago. So I wanted to see how that would really kind of play out as far as integrating this tool.
Yeah, so I mean, we use for Windows and Mac, we use pretty typical, I would say, standardized installation methods. So you get an MSI or a DMG for Mac, and within Intune, you have the ability to distribute this on all your managed clients, right? So you upload the MSI, and you can manage, for example, within Intune, and depending on your policy, you can also manage upgrades. You can say, I want to automate upgrades, and you can let the agent upgrade itself when a new release comes out, or you can control that through Intune. You can say, okay, I don't want to wait, I don't want to like let it auto upgrade, but I want to make it in a more managed way if you have, for example, requests for change and stuff, right? And yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I would say. No innovation there other than what Intune can support in terms of management. You can do it with NetBeez in a very, like straightforward way.
Awesome, thank you so much.
I'm wondering if you could talk to, okay, we see, once we're looking at Panos's PC and the agent there, we can see what that there's a problem. How do we know that Panos has a problem in the first place?
I mean, that comes through alerting, right? So the alerting we have enables you to, very fine-grained way to set alerts that you can set certain thresholds that if they're violated, I can get notification, and or you can create alerts based on baseline. So you can say, I want to let my installation run for, let's say, for a week, get some baseline, and then if my whatever metric I'm choosing violates that baseline by a certain percentage or multiplier, I can get an alert, right? And of course, the third way that gives me a good leeway for the next session is that we can use our API, right? At that point, you can just collect the data yourselves, and you can run and create whatever customized data processing, data analytics, and alerting you wish, right? So
what I see there is tests. What about high CPU on a user PC? Is that one of the alert conditions?
Not right now. We're listing this feature without alerting, but it's something that, of course, as we roll in and with the feature matures more, we're going to add that too as well.
Okay, and then there's also a view, green-red view across all the agents, or?
Yeah, so that one, if an agent is red, that means that the agent is, the red row there that is disconnected right now. The employee might have the PC turned off, etc. The red, I would say, and green colors on the agent have to do with alerting. If there is, like an alert on a specific test, it's red. Otherwise, it's green. In a nutshell.
Right. So you have a matrix basically, and if I'm seeing orange like in Steven's laptop, that's not good.
Yeah.
Cool.
For the PC performance, particularly on CPU and memory spikes, are you able to map those spikes to particular processes or applications?
No, right now we just give you the total. Like, hey, this is like the total CPU consumption RAM on your system, right? We don't break it down by application or anything like that.
Okay, is that on the roadmap?
Something that we're adding another vote for that feature, yeah, right now.
So right now it alerts you to a problem, and then if there's some sort of a desktop management tool that gives you performance per app, then maybe that's the current way to get at that now?
Yeah, potentially, yes. People can refer to that kind of tooling if they have to see more fine-grained information. Yeah.
Jumping in here, is there a view for some of the MOS scoring that was talked about from like a voice or video perspective?
Stefano, you want to show that?
Yes. I'll take your agent, MOS. Here you go. So we have two ways to. This is a MOS based on basically ping tests. When you don't have access to deploy an agent in the Zoom cloud, for instance, you can only rely on that. Or we can also run MOS end-to-end from one source agent to a destination agent here. And this is where, we don't have it here configured, but this is where you have a source and a destination agent, and you run UDP traffic with the EF marking and according to a codec, G711 or G729. So we have different ways basically to gather MOS.
And that could be from any type of agent?
Yes, yeah. All our features tend to be, for any type of agent. We don't restrict really. The only difference that we have is Wi-Fi connection timing, because to time the connection, you have to disconnect the client and reconnect it. So you don't want to do that on an end user laptop. But all the other features are basically work on both types.
Hey, I had another question. I know you had mentioned there was logging, like event logging to see, because the common issue is, oh, well, my internet cut out and it could be 2 or 3 hours prior. How far does that logging go back? How can it go back?
Data retention. So you up to 2 years, if I'm correct, is the maximum.
Wow.
Now, of course. But yeah, we have a data retention setting where you can decide for how long you want to keep that retention.
That's awesome. Sorry, this is like incredible because so many times you see those tickets of, oh, my internet cut out. That's okay. How? Yeah. Very broad, and this just changes it. Awesome.
Yeah, so all data is, you can review it from an historical perspective, raw. So you can go back in time any point. Now this is data retention. We have it very short. Let me show you another dashboard. This is a bit demo because we show you some beta features. So you know what happens when you show beta features. But here you go. You have an historical view. You can go back in time as much as you want. And then the data retention settings are here. You have full control of stat and for how long you want to keep it for.
Stefano, just to jump in here, on those data retention settings, do you do any kind of roll-ups for older data, going from the second precision up to say maybe a minute or even an hour as the data ages? And if you do that, is there a way to drill back down into that if I say 6 months from now, I need to determine if this thing was happening on a every 30-second basis?
Yeah, so if you need that visibility, that's the raw results, right? That's the like granular data. So based on your settings here, gives you the ability to rely on raw data. Otherwise, you have to rely on the samples, which maybe is good for very long-term baseline to understand how your network evolves in terms of performance. But for troubleshooting, it's always recommended to expand the window for the raw. Yeah.
Is there any option, either today or maybe on the roadmap, to export data to some other data sync, basically, that would allow me to say, for certain selected monitoring points, keep a longer precision timeline, knowing that every month or so I have to archive that data back to, like a SAN or something?
So you're saying selecting raw results for a specific maybe agent or target?
Like a server that I know that I really want to keep an eye on versus like a desktop or something.
That's a good point. We don't have that roadmap or request ever got before, but that's a good point. We also have APIs, so technically you could consume the API via API that data and store in a third-party system if you want. But that's a good point. Yeah,
use the API to export this to like a SIEM or something.
That is correct.
Okay,
actually,
thank you.
API is the next session that we'll talk about.
Where's the data stored?
So this is a self-contained server, whether it's on the cloud on-prem. So on the VM or cloud instance, we have a backend relational database.